Hi, this is Shira Rubinoff. I'm here with Insights in Tech. I'm here with Alberto Yépez. Alberto, thank you for joining us today. Please introduce yourself to our audience.
Yes, good morning, Shira. Thanks for the opportunity. I am the co-founder and managing director at ForgePoint Capital. And ForgePoint Capital is a venture capital fund that is exclusively dedicated to investing in cybersecurity companies. And we've been in business since 2015, and we have invested in 19 companies so far, soon to be 21 active investors in early stage cybersecurity.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Real honor to have you on this platform today. And I had such an interesting discussion with you this past week about building cybersecurity companies in uncertain economic times. And I would love to get some insight for you around that, about what could companies do when uncertain economic times hit? Certainly with the startup world, what are some pointers you could give to some of the companies, and certainly talking around some of your portfolio companies, some insight there would be great to hear from you.
So, we're living in interesting times. I think unprecedented in the economy is somewhat come up to a halt. What we're telling our companies is, look, this is a time to build great relationships with your customers. And while you need to align your expenses to your top line and your revenue, the areas of investments are twofold. Number one, you need to double down on customer satisfaction, because the people that already took the risk in working with you, you need to delight them. You need to make sure that they may not have enough resources. You need to try to help them be successful. The second area of investments, we tell them, in a world where you cannot go on site and deploy your product for them to evaluate, to assess, to eventually deploy into production, you need to, instead of focusing on feature and functions of your product, you should try to make your product easy to consume, easy to use, easy to deploy. So the fact that you can download the product remotely and then install it and configure it will be great. So it's all about thinking about the user, the circumstances that they're dealing with, and also the ability for you to successfully deploy a solution that's going to help them with a problem. But instead of trying to give more bells and whistles, make sure that it's easy to manage, easy to deploy.
Exactly. You're touching on a very important point that I certainly speak about a lot, the human factors of technology, and certainly here in cybersecurity, the no extra steps, the easy to deploy, talking about the people, the process, and the technology. The process in the middle is the most critical piece, it seems like you're highlighting here. And we also talked about the market resetting itself, and how now cybersecurity companies, there's a much bigger rising demand, for that, being that we're in such a unprecedented time in our lives right now, and cybersecurity is really at the top of forefront of people's minds. Can you expand on that a little for me, please?
Yeah, look, over the last few weeks, we have data points coming through from 19 companies that we work actively. As you know, we're very active investors and work with them day in and day out. We know what's going on with their customer engagements, the sales opportunities that they're dealing with, and the partnerships they need to achieve in order to get scale. So what we've seen in the past 4 to 6 weeks is the fact that the threat actors are not stopping. They're just getting busier. They are actually trying to increase the volume and sophistication of cyber attacks, and unfortunately, they're prying against people that are not very sophisticated. You and I have already read and looked and commented on how they're attacking hospitals. They're attacking, government entities. They're trying to provide information with respect to the pandemic, and we've seen an increased number of attacks for spam, phishing attacks. Actually, a lot of business email compromise. We've seen a lot of ransomware increasing. We've seen a lot of disinformation being displayed. A lot of bad websites that lure unsuspecting users to get into them. So right now, it's all trying to protect the user environment, and when people they're being distracted. So I think that the volume and sophistication of cyber attacks has increased. The other thing we have is, as companies are trying to realign their resources, we always talked about a shortage of professionals in
Yes.
our industry. Now, even more than ever, they would like to have not just to consume a product, they want a service, they want a solutions, they want you to take responsibility for their success. So to the degree, companies that are actually cloud native and companies that are providing an offering, not necessarily just a product, are going to be more successful because they're going to need you more than ever in terms of supplementing, augmenting, complementing their current staff. So active threat actors, you have the issue of increase in sophistication of attacks, you have the need of customers that need more individuals to more partners to help them be successful. So overall, I believe that the companies need to be thinking in a way that this is only not going to get better, it's only going to get worse. And now they're all working, we're working from home. Now our infrastructures are being, tested. And many companies were woefully inadequately set up to be able to accommodate for the work from home environment. And now a lot of our information that used to be inside our network now is being downloaded on personal devices, and people are trying to pry and try to steal your identities and eventually lead to stealing that information, stealing your credentials, and also potentially then we're going to see, as a result of this pandemic, we're going to see an increased number of breaches coming up, because you know that whenever somebody attacks and gets into your computer, it's not doing it right away. It's staying there to take those credentials and eventually to try to perpetrate more sophisticated attacks.
Yeah, very interesting, very true points. Let's talk for a moment about the spending and from both ends. I know that certainly the early stage startups and the ones that are trying to grow themselves, they're worried about expending cash and needing to, I think you quoted it over here, survive then thrive. They need to survive this time and then grow themselves out and really thrive in the industry. But then you have companies that really need these solutions, the ones you're speaking about, but they're also trying to conserve their cash and not spend right now. What would you say to both ends in terms of the early stage companies looking to grow themselves and continue with maybe R&D and development and making their technology really robust and where it should be? And to the other side of the companies that need these solutions but are afraid to spend right now.
Well, that's, I guess that's the challenge that we face as an industry. Uh, I think great companies get built in a certain economic times. We've gone through several of these economic cycles in 2000, 2001, 2008. If you really focus on the customer once again, you need to figure out what their needs are and how their ability to spend. So I would say that in the case of startups, they need to focus not in the total contract value or the multi-year engagements, getting to maybe monthly arrangements. Try to give them a trial and try to help them, you know, experience the benefit of what your solution has to deal with. Eventually, they will renew with you. As long as the experience in the actual value you deliver, it will give you an opportunity to do more business with them in the future. As it relates to the companies that are realigning their IT spend, look, or technology spend, let's not talk about IT.
Yeah.
We always talked about having digital transformation as every industry is having to go through a transformation given our increasingly digital lives. Some of those will stop, some of them are going to accelerate. The other day we were talking to a bank. They were in the middle of their digital transformation and trying to make sure that people, instead of coming to the branch, they will try to transact with them electronically. Counterintuitively, they were going into a very phased rollout. We're going to put the first 5 million users, the next 10 million users. Eventually, they're working with one of our portfolio companies. They said, let's put 30 million users, let's put 100 million users, because now there's no ability to go to the branch and they need to deal with that. So instead of worrying about, okay, how much are you going to charge you? Are you going to be doing this? Make sure your technology is there for them to deliver, and eventually you will get to have the ability to do that. So there'll be a lot of industries that are going to be needing these as a core way of delivering their value.
Yeah.
And even though there are aspects of retail that are actually very severely impacted, there are parts of retail that are getting bombarded because people are asking them to deliver from home. and therefore they are going to need all that capability for securing. So I guess it's a balance to achieve and make sure that at the end of the day, I think we're going to pass these crises and business will get back to a new normal. And people are are going to do business with the people that were there when they needed them.
That's terrific. That's very sound advice. And to that point, the new normal, I'd like to get your take on what you feel the future of work will be in cybersecurity. Do you believe that this remote type of work with newfound security around that will be the new normal? Or do you feel there'll be somewhere in between of what was to what is today?
I think there are some industries that require that personal touch. I think that we will live in a hybrid. I think companies are going to get more comfortable now. It is possible to have remote workforces. Yeah. So I think we will see an advancement of this hybrid model. Some industries may go completely digital and working from home, and others won't because of the requirement of the personal touch. But when it comes to cybersecurity products, I think what is being accelerated is a lot of people were concerned about putting their data in the cloud, yes, which is remotely, right? I need to have my security operations center being a physical thing, sitting in a place and where I need to go every day and try to look at the screens. I think now people are going to get more comfortable and the trusted vendors to be able to do that. Most recent investments that we announced before the RSA conference was a company called Cybersecurity, which is trying to provide a security operations center in the cloud, a SOC as a service. Mm-hmm. So that where they have not only provide you the capabilities, but also provide you a managed service to be able to provide level 1, level 2, level 3, and using some machine learning to avoid that barrage of signals that sometimes you don't know where to focus. Another company we recently invested once again with the general theme, a company called Huntress Labs. In Huntress Labs, what they do specifically is they really deal with the mid-market, the small, medium business, where they don't have a lot of sophisticated IT professionals. And the ability for them to let people try for 30 days. If you like it, just send your credit card and you turn it on. You can increase any time. And it really uses a credit card model for people to come into their technology, the use of the technology, but it's all being managed externally. So they need to trust now that extended community that is going to be watching for them, trying to avoid ransomware. You know, they have a lot of cities as customers because, as you know, in state and local, as much as we talk their organizations, but IT is not a core capability. And they have been somehow working with a managed service provider community, the MSP community, not the MSSP. Yeah. The MSPs that are trusted advisors, they're saying, I'm going to give you these capabilities so you can service the city of Pleasanton, where I live, or smaller cities where they don't have the capability. So you will see that level of comfort being accelerated because there's no choice.
Well, that's very important. I love what these companies are doing, and it certainly shows and is an example to other cyber companies out there that there is room for the development and the manifestation of new companies that are needed in this new economic time and new economic world. And certainly as we're ebbing and flowing through this crazy world, but it's going to all be good. And I'm so happy that you took your time out of your busy schedule to speak with us today. Greatly appreciated it. Thank you so much for your time. And I look forward to speaking to you again soon.
Yeah, Shira, I really want to give you kudos and for you to continue to do these type of information sessions. I listened to the session you had with Ron and with the others, and I think you're doing a great service for the community. And the fact that you're also a big champion for diversity in our industry is very, very important. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you so much, Alberto.